the senator, while indoctrinated, could not explain his toxicity.
You should not listen to men's rights advocates if you want to know what they have to say.
Coming to you live from deep within a muddy, well, actually also more like icy, but windy and also sometimes sunny radioactive meme land. Actually,
Snowy.
never sunny. Snowy. Icy.
It's
fucking
sunny.
cold.
It's sunny
oh,
here
yeah, that's
too.
true. It is sunny.
But what's the standard winter fucking forecast that fucks everybody up because they're like, it's sunny, it should be warm, clear and cold. That's what clear. The brighter the sun is shining, the clearer the sky, right?
The colder.
The fucking colder it is.
We're in that state. The pure, clear, and absolute cold. We are the survivors of the alt-right apocalypse. The few, the brave, the britchy. Yeah,
Britchy.
I know. Once more wading into battle against the lobster hordes and their dead lobster eyes. With Rantzerker number 101, Me Too. New York Times has the Me Too dating blues. Me Too. This is a 3-minute and something second video, folks, so you probably can expect this to be at least 16 hours since it's a video of such epic length.
Especially since I'm going to have to talk at some point about, the fact that my nose hairs freeze whenever I go outside and things like that. So.
And it also has a ukulele in it.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And all of us here, except for Brian, are dealing with the Canadian government currently. Brian doesn't have to deal with the Canadian government.
We're winning.
So we won't be offering.
I'm actually not dealing with the Canadian government. I'm dealing with a private agency that is under contract with the Canadian government. So Canadian Diagnostic Centers.
Well,
right?
Thank you for that clarification.
There you go. So it's not the government. They just get all their money from the government.
Yeah, so we aren't going to be offering a gamified hour this time. Just going directly into the after show with whatever we don't finish of the New York Times Me Too, Dating Blues, Me Too thing. If you want to join us at that time, the link is www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. And now you won't get it. So if you do want to join us, then you have to go to Patreon. But if you want to join us on another day and you do not like Patreon, www.feedthebadger.com. Now I would normally say let's get on with the show, but I want to point out something that's happening in current events.
Mm-hmm.
I think many of the people who are listening, including you two, especially you, Karen, know that the leader one of the leaders of Me Too, Cristina Garcia, has been accused of sexual assault. Not even a sexual harassment. It is indeed sexual assault once you make contact with someone's genitals or attempt to.
Yeah.
So she's been accused of sexual assault. She's had 2 accusations now. The first one was not actually by the person or the man she assaulted or was alleged to have assaulted. It was by someone who after the event, he described the event in shock to.
Confided
in. And then there's a second assault or alleged assault that is very similar to the first alleged assault. And now we have some anonymous accusations against Cristina Garcia that are not sexual assault, but creating a hostile workplace. So she wasn't explicitly sexually harassing or assaulting these individuals. She was just making them deeply uncomfortable with sexual implications and insinuations and other stuff like that. So this is really interesting because in the past, Cristina Garcia has called for male individuals who have been alleged to have engaged in sexual assault or harassment to resign.
Yeah.
Not based on a conviction, but just based on the allegation. And so far, Cristina has not resigned.
Oh, I wonder why that is.
And in fact, if you read a lot of the media coverage of these allegations, you'll notice that there's quite a bit of victim blaming, accusations that Christina Garcia has been targeted, that these individuals are not motivated by wanting to make sure that other individuals, other victims of Christina Garcia or female aggressors actually feel like they can speak out and be heard, that they instead are just trying to do this as a political assassination of this controversial figure. And which is really interesting because we're seeing this victim blaming not from random people on Twitter, like Jane Blow on Twitter. We're seeing it from actual media outlets. So
Yeah.
When a man is the accuser or a woman is the one being accused, the media, the institution of the media, feels free to engage in victim blaming.
Well, they want to they want to believe that it's not that it's a false allegation or something like that, right? So it's. But I don't even know whether she's a Republican or a Democrat.
I think she's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would have something to do with it. Not like, honestly, like I think that this is one of the problems when you weaponize the system in this particular way, where it's like an accusation is made. It can be made completely anonymously. It's made publicly, and the person is not allowed to really defend themselves. Nobody is allowed to call for, some kind of investigation or due process or anything like that. They immediately call for the person's head, the head of the accused.
The resignation.
The resignation of them. And then anyone who even so much as sort of in a philosophical sense objects to this process, right, or objects to some aspect of it, right, by saying, aren't we opening the door to turning accusations of sexual harassment into a potential political weapon that can be wielded against anybody, and all you'd need is somebody who's unscrupulous enough to do it. The moment somebody says that, they're called a rape apologist, and they're called a this, that, and the other. And so I'm like, I really wish that the media was going to come out and say, we think that this is just a targeted political assassination. We don't believe that these things happened, or whatever, or cast doubt on whether they actually happened, and say it could be, because that's a real possibility, right? It could be a targeted political assassination against somebody people don't like, because you know what? That's just the fucking offspring of this fucked up system, this fucked up process that we've created, right? It's the demonic fucking offspring, the demonic love child of, lynching culture and rape hysteria.
What I just want to point out is all of the things that you're saying are actually in play. Christina Garcia is, as far as I know, she hasn't resigned. She's just taking a leave of absence without pay. And nobody's been calling for her to resign. And also the media is suggesting that this might be a targeted situation and that these men are actual liars.
It really would make me happy if they'd said that about everybody who had been accused.
No, suddenly due process is important, even though Christina Garcia herself spoke out against the due process that she is now the beneficiary of. Yeah. Which is what my point. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, the reason why we're getting due process now is because it is a female who's in the crosshairs, and it is men who are accusing her. And this is the very same thing that feminists would point at and say is evidence of rape culture, were it being directed at women. Yeah. This is what's so freaking ironic about this whole situation. Christina Garcia being accused of this highlights how differently women who are accused are treated relative to men, and how differently the men who accuse them are treated relative to the women who accuse them. The men are ridiculed. They're subject to, they aren't given listen and believe. No. They're subject to aspirations that they're lying because it's a political political targeting of the individual in question, or that this is really patriarchal abuse of Christina Garcia because they just don't like a powerful woman who's gone up. And all of this bilge is just spewing out.
Well, I mean, like, I think one of the things that we need to actually look back into history about is, you know, how many of the accusations that occurred in Salem in 1692 were rooted in property disputes between neighbors, you know, and people who were arguing over a contested piece of land and all kinds of other shit that has nothing to do with fucking witchcraft, even if you believe in witchcraft, right? So I mean, like a lot of those were politically or economically motivated false accusations, right? And that's just what happens when you put all of these environmental elements together, right? That you are to believe the accuser. I believe survivors, right? All of those things. When you castigate anyone who casts doubt on the veracity of the claims, when you demand an immediate beheading of the person accused, or an immediate destruction of his reputation and his life, right? All of those things. So I mean, like, it's not like we haven't been through these hysterias. Like, it's like fucking 1980s. The satanic panic.
But it's like, what the point I'm trying to get at?
I know that the context is that the only reason that the media is even engaging in the remotest bit of sanity regarding these allegations is because she's a woman and she's being accused by men. Yes.
Well, yeah, but I also want to point out that this behavior towards the men accusing Christina Garcia of sexual harassment and sexual assault is in of itself what feminists would term rape culture, were it being directed at female accusers.
Yes.
And to be honest, if feminists had restricted the term rape culture to its originally, rape culture referred to male victims of sexual violence in prisons. And feminists couldn't resist passing up something so juicy in terms of victim culture. So they appropriated it for female victims of community violence or community sexual violence. That means sexual violence outside of prisons. So originally, rape culture actually referred to male victims, and then it was appropriated by feminists to refer to female victims. I would say that they'd have a point if they pointed out to stuff like this and the double standard in how male victims are treated versus female victims. And I'm just giving you the context of all this because we're about to go into a pompous, self-righteous little rant set to music by a woman who's basically her point of view in all of this, and the New York Times point of view in all of this, is that it just doesn't happen to men. Not that men, when it does happen to men, it's so stigmatized. The male victims are stigmatized. The male victims are stigmatized. When feminists say that female rape victims are stigmatized, that is an absolute bald-faced lie. Nobody thinks less of a woman that they genuinely believe has been raped because they genuinely believe she had experienced rape. No one does. Or there may be some very, very small lunatic outliers who do. But people who genuinely believe a woman is raped, there's no stigma against her. None whatsoever. The stigma is that the people believe she wasn't raped. And that's not stigma against a rape victim. That's stigma against a potential false accuser. And it's also the only defense against a charge of rape. So somebody says, oh, I think she actually consented. That's not stigma against a rape victim that they believe is a rape victim. That's stigma against a woman that they think might have lied about having been raped because she lied, or they think she lied. There's a completely different situation here. And again, what feminists are saying is that society doesn't automatically believe every woman who says was raped. Well, this is exactly what they're doing to these men. Automatically not believing them by giving Christina Garcia due process. And this entire situation lays bare the double standard, and it lays bare the fact that we actually enable and assist female rape victims relative to male rape victims and sexual assault victims. So it may not even be that there are fewer male victims of sexual harassment and assault. There are just fewer men who come forward because they are so stigmatized, and they are genuinely stigmatized. These people can genuinely believe that a woman put a gun to a man's head and straddled him and had sex at the potential of killing him and still think less of him for being a rape victim. Stigmatize him for having experienced that.
There you go.
All right, let's see this smug.
All right.
Smug,
yeah, let's get on with this fucking ukulele bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just say that hipsters have ruined ukuleles for me forever?
Well, I mean, I did kind of like some of the what is it, Garfield and Oates songs. Those two women, they do the ukulele thing and the songs.
I've never seen them, so
I've enjoyed some of them. Oh, you should watch some of them. They're interesting. It's the one about how the God's loophole in as far as virginity goes. You know, fuck me in the ass because I love Jesus, right? And it's as long as I just take it up the poop chute, I'm still on the side of, you know, the virgins.
I'm starting to figure out why you like this this duo. Okay.
Well, okay, that was just that was just the most shocking one that they sang. They also had another one about the, you know, the sort of the strange encounters between women in college and how, yeah, I could swing both ways. I'm making out with a girl. I could swing both ways. And then you come face to face with the vag and they're horrified. They're like, oh my God, what the hell did I do? It's actually quite funny.
Apply the on-topic filter and let's get through this.
All right. Let's do this thing.
I'm single this year.
Oh, you might notice that the audio is coming out from my video into yours, so you might not need to. You guys could probably mute it. If
I've muted my video.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Okay.
I'll start over.
I'm single this year for the very first time. All I want is a man who's not committed a crime.
All right, right there. Did you notice the eye fluttering? Or was that there? Yeah, it was. That's a fake shock that she's.
Oh yeah, she's showing the whites of her eyes because she's like, "Oh boy, I'm never going to be able to find a man who never sexually assaulted anyone."
Jeez, considering the statistics I've seen, I'm surprised that men can find a woman who hasn't sexually assaulted someone.
There you go.
I mean, that's like saying hello for women. Anyway.
It's hard to believe she's single. I can't, for the life of me, fathom why that would be.
Maybe because she's a judgmental feminist bitch? I don't know. Oh, man, now you've paused on an even more interesting facial expression.
She's just big funny. She's big comedic.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Comedy in the current year +3.
Yes, yeah. I know.
Well, I have to give her props for being willing to look ridiculous in freeze frames.
All right, actually, I think I got the wrong one, the wrong expression. It might become the right expression that I was referring to in a little bit. Okay, keep going.
Let us keep going.
But that feels very unlikely in this landscape we're in.
Did you see that? Did you see that rapid blinking?
I better look again. All right, hold up.
Yeah, hold up.
In this landscape we're in.
Did you see that?
Yeah, she just did the eye flutter, sure.
No, it's not just the eye flutter. That's the I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I've just been shocked by something. Deliberate, one presumes, for comedic effect. But she's shocked by just how rapey men are and how there's no man who hasn't committed a crime.
Well, certainly no available men, you know,
who haven't committed a crime.
Well, maybe she shouldn't have left getting married so long.
Maybe she's shocked that she herself hasn't been raped yet because of how little she thinks of men, and she kind of feels left out.
I don't know.
Oh. She kind of feels left out from being.
Oh, well,
okay,
you know,
that's
on-
it.
Okay, that is pretty fucking. That's pretty like Roosh V there.
Yeah.
But
Shades of Roosh V.
But you know, I have sat and listened to feminists humble bragging amongst each other about how they get. Oh, I get harassed. I can't even leave the house without having guys approaching me and telling me to smile and saying, hey, what's up, yo, and all of this, right? And I just get harassed all the time. And the other feminist is like, oh, you too? Me too. I am so hot that like I can't even walk down the street without being harassed. And then the other one pipes in, you know, oh, you think that's bad? I can't even get my paper out from the front porch in the morning. I can't even go pick it up without some guy catcalling me from down the block, right? And it's like, I'm thinking, you're just telling each other how attractive you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is I just went through a long spoken word poem, which was basically that. It was basically a very attractive woman, I will admit. She was the prototypical sort of blonde model-esque, basically breathlessly explaining how hot she was and how absolutely everywhere she went, she just couldn't get away from male attention. And then sort of punctuating it with some sexual shaming of how useless men are in bed. And I'm like, I think that I could replace all of this by just saying you're living out the gender equivalent fantasy of a man in a gigantic truck with blocks under his suspension and huge tires.
Oh, you mean with a lift kit?
Yeah, with a lift kit, essentially. Yeah, you're living out the gender reversed version of a guy. You know, when we would point at people, you would probably point in the street and say, "Oh, your penis must be so small. Look at how."
Yeah, he's overcompensating for something.
He's overcompensating, and I wonder if there's anything that we could apply to women who are doing that kind of humble bragging. Oh, I can't get my paper in the morning. My hair is a mess, and I look like my face has just been, you know, like a
got pillow lines all over it. Yeah,
like a crayon has been crawled across my face because I still have my makeup and I look like shit, and I'm still getting so much male attention because I just exude the sexual appeal. I mean,
yeah.
Can we make some sort of insult for that that's equivalent to small penis
or truck nuts?
Yeah, truck nuts. Yeah, like pecan brain. Like you have nothing else to offer but your looks.
Like I just.
Thought.
Go ahead.
Thought.
Stop.
Thought.
Oh, that hoe over there.
Yes, that hoe.
hottie.
Yeah, but still,
is it hoe or hottie?
No, it's hoe. That hoe.
That hoe over there.
Thought.
But still, the problem is that hoe, I assume, is like it's either a reference to whores or sluts.
No,
and that's
it
once again.
It could just be like a worthless woman. A woman of no real value, of nothing.
Yeah, but
substance.
that's not what we're getting at.
That's not what we're getting at. Yeah,
that's what we're getting at is that, you know, like the guy who drives around in a freaking Maserati or some shit, right? You know, because it attracts women and it does. I mean, like, it obviously does. Like
he's compensating.
He's compensating for something that he lacks, right? And whether that's or something he perceives that he lacks, which is maybe a penis or a personality, or not a penis but a big penis, and a personality, or, you know, something else, or he's trying too hard. Right?
So when women start this humble bragging shit about how they're constantly hit on by men, no matter every circumstance that they're in, how do we emphasize the fact that it's exactly the same as a man with a jacked up truck with gigantic tires, essentially?
Yeah. Like
you're compensating for something.
Yeah, and
what are they compensating for?
Well, what do we call men that do that? Do we have a name for them?
We call them trying too hard.
Trying too hard.
Okay.
So I mean, because there was a commentator on my channel who was
like, you remember Elliot Rodger? You remember what he used to talk about? You know, I'm the
supreme gentleman.
Excellent supreme gentleman. This, I'm that. Like, I am God's gift to women. And he would like just come out and say it with a straight fucking face, right? like believing it, I guess, or trying to convince himself that that's what he was. He's the supreme gentleman. He's the man that every woman should desire, blah, 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 right? That like when women complain about how much male attention that they get, particularly if they go out of their way to attract male attention. But I mean, like, because there's two types of women who will complain about it. They're the women that doll themselves up in this, like, you know, they're like Rose McGowan. Okay, you remember Rose McGowan? There she was on the fucking red carpet in a dress that was just beads and a seam down the back through her butt cheeks. Right? Like, everything was showing. Everything was showing except the absolute bare minimum of the, you know, like that 1 inch or so strip inside her butt crack. Okay? And then she comes out and says, you know, being on the red carpet is like being eye raped. It's like being visually raped. I was like, well, what? And then the fashion cameras pan up and down your body and it's just humiliating. What? What? Like, maybe at some point she decided that, you know, like, okay, I have taken this too far and now I'm getting attention that I don't like. And now she dresses in fucking sweatsuits and shit, right? Like fucking male rapper, and she's got her hair all buzzed off. Okay, so she went way the other way, right? But don't complain about how you were treated when you were dressing like a burlesque performer for public events.
Yeah, it's
how about rape culturist?
Or
it's like,
I don't know.
Something,
like
maybe
she's
something
getting
from Victorian times. There's lots of great insults.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Day.
Brian. Here's the thing. This woman who's wearing basically the skin tight outfit to the red carpet event, and showing everything off, is getting the attention at the red carpet event, and then she's sort of retreading to get more attention.
Yep.
By indicating, so she's got it both coming and going. She's got the two sources of feminine value in our society. She has the skin tight dress on the perfect body, and then she also has the victimhood, because everybody loves a damsel.
Yeah, she's been victimized by the attention that she went out of her way to seek, and it's like, you know, like you can have it both ways as a human being. You can be like, okay, I'm gonna show off my body, I'm gonna flaunt things, I'm gonna like do this for a year and a half, and then I'm gonna realize how empty and crappy it is, and how the attention just really isn't very emotionally sustaining or fulfilling, how it really doesn't do anything good for me. So I'm going to treat it like an addiction and get healthy, right? Well, when you treat an addiction, you're not allowed to just blame the drug.
Yeah. You have to take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So that, to get back to what we're asking, we're trying to search for a term that really clearly clarifies that the behavior that these women are engaging in when they do this humble bragging about how much attention they get and how humiliating the attention is when they've clearly gone out of their way to get that attention. Or
when they're, even when they don't go out of their way to get it, when they exaggerate how much attention they get, because I can guarantee you Jen McCright and Rebecca Watson are not harassed constantly on the street, but they're the two feminists who are having this big, humble, bragging conversation about how they can't leave their house without getting catcalled and wolf whistled and approached and asked out and all of this stuff. And I'm sorry. I used to be hot. Okay? It doesn't happen.
Just a word to the wise here, guys. Don't do that.
Okay. Here's what I'm talking about. So we're trying to capture the idea that what this woman is doing, and women who do this are doing, is identical to a man getting a jacked up truck with gigantic tires and sex lights underneath. And I just want to go through something a week ago. A commentator on my channel left this. Unjaded Realist is the name. No man would give a second glance to this bad hair, man-faced, chunky female, referring to me, unless she's dissing other women and supporting men's rights. That's her only option for getting male attention. Meanwhile, all I have to do is go anywhere, bookstore, club, apply gloss to my full lips, bat my long lash doe eyes at men I'm interested in, and just stand there, and ta-da, I get far more male attention than I want usually, since I only date athletic younger guys. These quite pitiful honey badgers are trying to get attention.
Okay.
Appreciation, let me finish, from MGTOWs and MRAs. If you got to demean yourself for male attention, why here? There's zero delicious cut young studs in these organizations. These are the bottom of the barrel, bottom shelf, unwanted men who are simply ignored by beautiful men like myself. So why? And then this is my response. You seem to define yourself by your looks. I'm going to give you a spoiler. They'll be gone in 10 years. Have fun. Unjaded realist. Nope, all the women in my family age beautifully. My 49-year-old aunt, who looks not one day past 30, and like me can't remember when she missed a day at the gym, just moved in with her 26-year-old personal trainer boyfriend. And we also got all that melanin. We don't crack. I will never have to stoop to dissing other women and rim-jobbing men's asses about how oppressed they are to get men to do what they're doing now, which is coming for me like a Terminator. And,
she seems to be hypersexual.
But I just want to finish this before you get a comment. Oh, and I don't define myself by my looks. Since I have a vagina, this is how all men define me. You too. This is how they determine our very worth as human beings. I just play their game well, keeping everything tight. Eat only vegan whole foods, hundreds of dollars on skincare products, completely waxed from the net down, cross-fit discipline, because I know that's what they're about. That way I always get the pick of the creme de la creme. You guys you desperately want approval and validation from are enviously refer to the guys after me as Chads. And this is my reply to her. You're spending how much of your day doing all of that to appeal to men, and you're judging me for allegedly doing stuff to appeal to men. That's astounding. Well, incidentally, I don't do this to appeal to men because I know it doesn't.
Yeah, no, and why would you need to, right? Like you have Jonathan, you guys have been married for what, like 15 years or some shit?
20.
There you go. And I have my guy, who I've been with for 7 years now. You know, like Hannah has her husband that she's been with for a long time. And you know, and it's not like if I wanted male attention, and I actually had somebody on Reddit bugging me to show my tits or something. Like, I don't know whether he was drunk or whatever, but he said something about how I had said I would pose for a calendar, a nude calendar. And this was years ago, right? I was asked and I was like, oh, that sounds like a neat project. Sure, I'll do it. And then it just kind of fell through, right? He's like, you promised you'd show your tits. And I'm like, no, I didn't promise I'd show my tits. I said, like, I wouldn't have any problem showing my tits, but I didn't promise I would. And you know, and it's like, I made a conscious decision at some point to stop wearing makeup because I did not want to be and so this guy is accusing me of using my sexuality to rope men in and get them to keep paying me. And I'm like, okay, so number one, if all I wanted was money, I'd have the freaking PayPal and Patreon buttons at the bottom of every freaking video, which I don't, right? I'd be constantly saying, you know, like, subscribe, donate, blah, 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 at the close of every video, which I don't, right? And I would actually be, I don't know, putting more than 5 minutes a day into my appearance, which I don't.
Yeah, I'm just like, literally, she's saying that she puts hundreds and hundreds of dollars into and structures her entire life around appealing to men.
I know.
And then she's saying, but you appeal to men to try to appeal to men. I'm like, first of all, the stuff I talk about does not appeal to men. Let's get that right out of the way.
Yeah.
If I wanted to appeal to men, I would lose 30 pounds, wear lots of makeup, get a breast job, you know, and some liposuction. And I would act like a fucking feminist, except maybe a little more demure.
You'd straighten your hair. I remember you did a video. You did a video ages ago. I forget which one it was. Maybe the Apexual Male or something like that. Where you actually straightened your hair and put on makeup.
Yep, I have done that.
Yeah, and
out of the spirit of professionality, because my hair is usually a frizzy mess.
Yeah, and you actually you looked really put together in that video. Like, but you know, when it comes right down to it, so much of what we do takes up so much of our time. Like, I can't even keep up with the fucking dishes and laundry, right? And I work from home, and so like, why would I invest a whole bunch of time into and money into like what, like $100 a jar foreskin face cream? What?
Oh, gross. Anyway, what my point is that she's so obviously centered her life around male attention.
Yeah.
She comes here and she says, "You've centered your life around," but I haven't. The things I talk about don't appeal to most men. They don't appeal to many men. They appeal to the very small amount of men who can handle the kind of existential pain of questioning what man means. We got some really weird, tough men on this channel. Weird and tough.
Yeah, super weird.
Super weird and actually super tough, I would say, as well. So the average man, I would appeal to him more if I just replaced all of my opinions with feminist opinions and just learned to be, I don't even think I'd have to be more demure. I could be as much of a nag as I want, just as long as I fold like a wet napkin at the least sign of trouble and just be like, "Help me, he for she." And then that would just appeal to men more. Like it would.
Yeah.
So, and the stuff that I talk about it because I find it fascinating. It's not because I want male attention. It's because I find it fascinating. I spend my evenings like reading anthropology stuff and linguistics and to understand the source of these issues. It's just fascinating stuff. It's like any other kind of interest, like computer science or art history. It's just fascinating on its own.
Yeah, no, the amount of time that I spend like typing comments in comment sections versus how much time I spend putting out video content that gets me the actual attention is like, yeah, no, I spend a lot more time engaged in conversations with people in comment sections than I do, you know, monologuing and mugging in front of a camera.
But what is this? What is this behavior where she's obviously absolutely and utterly defined by male attention, as are the women who constantly talk about how much male attention they get, but of course they don't want it. Like, it's this bizarre behavior, and it has to have a name. It has to have like let's call it this because it's ridiculous. You obviously define yourself by male attention. You obviously want to show the whole world how much you get. You're behaving exactly like a man with a gigantic jacked up truck. And we would say you're compensating for something. So what is it these women are compensating for? What is the woman in this video compensating for? Let us watch another 20 seconds to find out.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Let's drag the show back on topic.
All right. Wow, we went a little bit. I was starting to think that this show wasn't actually about this video.
It never is.
We got a couple of super chats. Redicus says, "Rape culture humble brag," and then he's for $2. So thank you, Redicus. And he gives us another $2, and he says, "Bimbo bragging." And then some people said some pretty funny stuff in the chat that I thought was kind of pretty good. Let me see if there was one that I liked. It was a horseshoe girls, brag hags.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, brag hags.
Oh my God, that's a good
hags.
one.
That's a good one.
I think that's it. That's the one.
Okay, brag hags. We'll go with that.
Brag hags.
Okay, but I just want to add one more thing. These women are defined by men's approval, and I think there's a lot of women who are, and it's really shocking to them, even feminists. Actually, feminists even more than anyone, because if they're going to be able to abdicate their agency to say, "Oh, I am reduced down to something that's acted upon in every circumstance," if they want to indulge in that kind of super feminine behavior, they need to appeal to men's agency to save them. So they actually, feminists, I think, are more defined by appealing to men, he for she, than we are.
Yeah,
we don't need to be.
I was just reading a thing on Alternet, and and participating in the comments for the last day or two, where this Liz Posner, she suggests that the way to bring men on board with feminism is to essentially pretend to care about men's issues, and it's like, so basically what you're saying is, because this is a novel technique for women, right, is to emotionally manipulate men, right? It's like totally not stereotypical female behavior historically. It's not like lying to men, deceiving men, making them think you feel something different in order to get what you want from them. I mean, I suppose this sounds a little more highfalutin than batting your eyelashes before asking that guy to move those heavy boxes over there. But I mean, really, how new is this idea? How novel is it, really, when you think about it? Right?
I know. It's okay. Let's do another 20 seconds.
All right, let's do it.
In this landscape we're in, much to my chagrin, and so I'm going on.
I think she actually is really enjoying this. If you go back a few seconds, look at that.
Yeah, it's not to her chagrin. It's to her
it's
delight.
Definitely to her delight.
Yeah,
she's gonna get some shaming of men in. She's gonna enjoy some shaming of men. Yep. Let's enjoy. Like, what's so enjoyable about shaming men? Like, it's obviously that women like this really enjoy making men feel small, humiliated, and non-human. What is it about that that's so appealing?
Punching
it's
up.
Like Jordan Peterson told Kathy Newman, there's intense pleasure in momentary domination.
Yeah.
And then they deny that's what they're doing.
Well, of course.
This is what it is. This is 3 minutes of a ukulele and a woman shaming men.
Well, because if you don't deny that that's what you're doing, then you actually are admitting that you're a bully.
Yeah, she's a bully. Bully bragging bully. Okay. Let's continue.
Let us continue.
So I'm going on dates and I'm a trucking along, but then all of these dudes, they say a million things wrong.
So,
really?
God. Oh, God. I go on fucking dating sites. I look at the profiles, and the men, they have this big laundry list, right? Their laundry list is, I'm going to itemize all the things that I have to offer a woman. Right? And then appended at the PS, please no head games. Right? Okay? That's what male dating profiles look like. And the women's look like, well, you got to be at least 6 feet tall. You have to earn at least this much money. You have to blah, 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 blah. You have to do at least half the housework, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be your mama, right? And all of this shit, right? It's a huge laundry list of demands. And there's usually nothing in there. I have a sense of humor. And that's it.
Yeah.
Right? That's all they got. That's all they think they have to.
I like traveling and dancing.
Yeah, no. What that is.
I like food.
I like you paying for me to fly places. I also like you paying for me to eat places.
I like music and food. Sleeping.
I also like you paying for me to go to concerts.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just wondering what these red flags would be. I mean, what are these people? What are these men? How many things?
What are they saying? What are they saying? The million things.
Well, we'll get into it.
No, but seriously,
it's in the video.
If somebody's saying a million things wrong to you, maybe what you consider to be wrong is you have too many things that you consider wrong.
Yeah, but low tolerance.
Maybe it's just normal.
Low tolerance. All right, let's do another however many seconds.
So here's some examples of the straight dating scene in 2018.
According to you.
Why does she feel the need to specify the straight dating scene? Out of curiosity, does this not happen in the gay dating scene?
She doesn't want to be homophobic, and yes, it absolutely does. Do you have any idea? Have you ever been to a gay bar on men's night when they had male strippers and shit?
Let me think about that for a second. No.
They keep their hands to themselves, which is more than I can say for women on ladies' night when the male strippers are in. But they are like super like, oh my, like they drool over all the parts of the male body, right? They openly visually worship all of the parts of the male body, the ideal male body, including the parts that women find kind of icky and gross until they're like in a state of readiness and immediate utility. You know, like those, the dangly bits and the, you know, the hard erect part that most people kind of find, most women kind of find that part of the male anatomy to be kind of weird looking. You can tell because women always laugh at men who walk around in a t-shirt with no underwear on, right? And they're like, oh my God. But it's like, or they find it humorous, but they don't find it like appealing. And the gay men are like, they love everything about men, including that. They are like, oh my God, men's anuses, men's testicles, men's freaking penises, all of it. You know, it's like a feast. It's a buffet.
I love the taint.
Right? And I'm going to eat it like Pavarotti ate pasta, like with gusto. Right? and it's like, so, but she doesn't want to include them because to do so would either make straight men seem mild by comparison or would be considered homophobic.
Okay, can I just point something out? Let's imagine in an alternative world where men's sexuality was considered itself valuable. And just imagine.
Well, that's why.
Yeah, they don't include the gay.
Gays are like, you know, like, oh my God, male sexuality is the fucking best thing ever.
So let's imagine an alternative world where this woman might regard male sexuality as having some kind of innate value that she might want to live up to be worthy of. And just see that through her lens. Just step into the mindset for a moment and entertain my craziness, my insanity, my flights of fantasy. Step into the mindset where you as a man have a value to your sexuality, that you are actually giving something valuable to women by letting them have access to it. And just step into that feeling that your body is of value. Step into the feeling like you might have if you were a gay man, an attractive gay man, or even a reasonably presentable gay man. Going in and knowing that you are going to be consumed with gusto. And just step into that headspace, and now let's watch what she has to say. Come on, let's go. Let's take this Allison's wild ride here.
Shall I play?
Yes.
Hey,
Hey!
have you been reading the news?
Yeesh, maybe let's order some booze.
Well, I'd really
Okay,
like
wait
to hear...
just a second. First thing, do you notice that he's probably less attractive than her? That's supposed to represent male sexuality in its entirety.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's really essentially setting him up as having lower sexual market value to begin with. The moment he walks in the room,
Yep.
and then she's like, have you been reading the news? And he's like, oh, let's just order some booze, right? And it's like, so she's saying, let's immediately on our first date dive into complex geopolitical topics. And he's saying, can't we just like
Enjoy each other's company?
have a drink and, you know, like maybe
See where it goes?
tell me about, you know, I don't know, tell me about what
So
you do
right
for a
off the bat-
living or, yeah.
Right off the bat, this is framing male sexuality as unattractive and undesirable.
Yeah.
Oh, and they also caricature him by having him come in with a polo shirt with the collar popped, and he's just like, hey, like this dude, bro.
I'm like every New York Italian ever.
Won't you have a seat?
Accent, right.
You would think that this would be something that people who advocate, because less attractive people do experience some forms of persecution. So essentially what we have here is a more attractive person shaming an unattractive person. That's a nice look. That's a nice look.
For being, and also for being not sophisticated enough for her.
Not the right class. So we also have what presumably a bourgeois upper class woman who is more attractive shaming a prole.
Yeah, like he's like totally a pleb. He's just like some freaking blue collar New York Italian guy who
And they wonder.
likes eating pizza. I gotta fold the piece in half before I put it in my mouth.
And they wonder why they do not appeal to the working class.
I know,
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Another
All
20
right.
seconds.
Let's do it.
Well, I'd really like to hear about your views.
This movement's gotten just a touch out of hand.
Okay. I thought you guys might jump in there.
Okay,
Let's hear her side of it.
Hear about,
This
hear about her views.
Yeah.
She wants to hear about his views on the Me Too movement, is
Yeah.
what it is, and he said this movement's just gotten just a touch out of hand.
Yeah.
Look at how he's really just his pose here, like 'cause he's got the hairy arms. He's actually got a reverse beard,
Yeah.
because he's got hair halfway up his neck. But he hasn't shaved, and he looks like I don't know what you'd call it in American Italian parlance, a moolie or something. I don't freaking know.
Well,
What?
he's also forcing a second chin, too.
Yeah, he
He's
is
trying to be as unattractive as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's doing an H3H3.
Oh, geez, I guess this is basically upper class white leftists and from a group. She's probably from Northern European, so she would have qualified as white even 100 years ago, whereas
Yeah.
our likely Italian friend here probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, he's got some Moorish blood in him, or at least Lebanese, and
But I
Yeah.
just wanted to say,
you can tell by the wavy hair, right?
isn't it lovely that we have this young or this upper class Aryan female?
I thought he
put
was.
in-
I thought this guy was of the Semitic persuasion myself, but
regardless, so we have this upper class
He
Aryan
might be
female.
Jewish, but I don't know. He seems a bit too hairy to be a Jew.
could be a bit Greco. Go ahead,
Let
Allison.
me finish. Yes, thank you. This upper class Aryan female putting the lower class, working class, non-Aryan in his place as below her. It's a really great look.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it-
yeah. Well, and he's not just physically inferior to her. He is mentally and psychologically and politically inferior to her, because he's like, this movement's gotten a bit out of hand, right? And of course, this is the big fucking, this is one of the million things wrong men say, is that, they might actually say that, allowing Twitter to be judge, jury, and executioner for men based on a woman's pointed finger, I can't imagine how that's too different from, the kinds of mob justice that were inflicted during the lynching years in the U.S.
Yeah, this
So-
is basically lynch culture. And it's interesting because he's descended from one of the ethnic groups that would be most likely to be lynched. And working class men were also more likely to be lynched. Italians, Irish, other white, what were considered more marginally white men from like Southern Europe, or they would be more likely to have lynched.
Portugal, Hispanic, right?
Yeah.
If you spoke Spanish, you were assumed to be Mexican, even if your parents were, I forget, like
Castilian?
pure blood Spanish, right? If your parents were first generation Spanish immigrants to the U.S. and you had a Spanish accent as a child, you were assumed to be, a greaser. And you were like, and it was like, and therefore you are treated differently. You're treated marginally, right? So
Okay, so what we have is a man from one of the social classes and the ethnicities that would have most likely been subject to lynching. Possibly not as much as black men, but would also have been, along with black men. So already all of the connotations of this are really ugly. Of course, they all are erased because feminism. So let's continue.
Okay.
And
Well, change only happens after taking a stand.
hey, would you ever wanna come see my band?
Wow,
What did
that's
you
offensive.
say? Ah!
What?
Well, he asked her if she would ever come see his band.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's not taking her seriously. She wants to spend the whole date talking about the Me Too movement, and he's like, hey, I have an idea. Let's lighten things up. Maybe you could come see my band sometime, right? Because this is his way of saying, this conversation makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, but that's when men are uncomfortable, that's a sign that you should continue to pile drive them into the floor.
That's
because
right.
they deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just curious about this woman. Does she believe that Christina Garcia? Sorry, not Crystal Garcia.
Sorry, Crystal.
Sorry, Crystal. It's only because I'm more used to saying your name. Christina Garcia. Does she believe that Christina Garcia deserves due process? I wonder. Does she? Like, what if the woman on the ukulele was accused of sexual abuse, does she think that she deserves due process? I'm just curious. Like, I mean, I know she doesn't conceive of the possibility because she's a woman.
Yeah, there's that's the whole thing, is that when you believe that you are immune to a certain social ill or a certain social problem or a certain set of circumstances, that will never happen to you, then and this is the one thing that, like, because when people say that women are more empathetic than men are, I always look at stuff like this and think, like, can't you put yourself in a man's shoes in this cultural climate?
Well, she doesn't have to. She can just put herself in Christina Garcia's shoes.
Well, yeah, no, but she can't, because Christina Garcia hasn't been forced to resign. Christina Garcia is allowed to have some form of due process. She's on leave pending an investigation, right? And that's fine, right? That's fine. On leave pending an investigation. But that's not what happened to, Kevin Spacey, to a whole bunch of other people, to Al Franken, right? He didn't go on leave pending an investigation. He was just forced to step down. Patrick Brown, same thing. Didn't go on leave pending an investigation. His resignation was tendered by people without his consent, by his staffers without his consent, right? And so it's like, so he's re-entered the race, which is actually really kind of,
I think that's awesome. I think he should. He shouldn't let. And the thing is that the reason why I say that is because, in my opinion, the accuser's story has fallen apart. But let's get back to this.
Okay.
All right, here we go. This is the chorus, so you're going to hear this a couple times.
What did you say? Ah, that's not okay. I'm feeling triggered and you've ruined my day. Hey, ho, ho. Donald Trump's gotta go. Join the resistance, you tone-deaf Joe Schmo.
Okay.
Is this actually mocking her?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that to some degree, it sounds like it's poking fun at itself, but it's unlikely that it is. It might actually be taking this very seriously.
Yeah, well, I would have thought that the whole Scream at the Sky protest was, a bunch of people, like a bunch of pose, poking fun at anti-Trumpers, but it actually wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's skip do you know how long the chorus lasts?
I believe that's the end of the chorus, but I'm going to keep playing. The guy should be
incredibly unpleasant.
Man number 2 should be coming through here.
Since you tone-deaf Joe Schmo, singing, ooh, this guy's garbage, ooh, this guy's clearly a foe.
Okay, wait a second. So, how did she ascertain that he was a Trump supporter?
because he doesn't agree with her and submit to the moral superiority and authority of the Me Too movement.
Yeah,
So
and because he wears a polo shirt with the collar popped, and
yeah, the only thing missing was an upside down sun visor. Then we would know for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Okay.
You see, we're victims of systemic oppression.
Yeah.
What?
But thank God we're in a time of progression.
Stop. You're victims of systemic oppression. Seriously, is this a Poe?
I don't know. I'm starting to think.
I think it's real. No, I think this is what she really believes. I do. I believe it. If not, let's say she was telling a joke. I doubt it though. Where she was making fun of herself. Then the New York Times fell for it and also took it seriously. Either way.
Wow, that's great. But if she did do that, and the New York Times actually treated it seriously, and this is a genuine poll by this woman, I shall bow to her.
Yeah.
As
Bow to
she is
her
the
trolling
troll
skills,
queen.
if that's true, but I kind of doubt it. So here comes the second man. He seems like he's more of a male feminist type. So we have, the douchey right-wing guy and now the douchey left-wing guy because all men.
The plaid-shirted hipster.
Yeah.
On right wing, the guy was right wing, and that was ascertained because he thought Me Too was going too far when it was requiring men to resign based on accusations alone. And yet, Christina Garcia still has not resigned and has received multiple accusations, including additional 4 anonymous accusations.
Because vagina.
Yes. Let's continue.
Your deflection is a microaggression.
Oh, I didn't mean it. Please don't be mad.
Aw, buddy, do you have more to add?
Hashtag not all men are that bad.
Okay, so apparently another red flag is any man who thinks that they're not... Why are you trying to date a group of people that you obviously consider to be morally subhuman?
That's a question for the ages, Allison. I'm guessing it's because penis. She's just not into the vag, I guess. But maybe she can just become a political lesbian.
How is that? Like, he apologized for offending her, and that offended her.
Yep.
Yeah, but
you wonder why you're single.
But his apology included a caveat that not all men are sexual harassers.
And how is anything that these men have done criminal? Like, is she intending to mock women like this? Because that's the only way. Like, this is so overblown.
Okay, my dog's eating plastic now. I'm gonna mute myself.
Apparently, the great red flags is one man who said, maybe due process should be a thing. I mean, this is the thing. Like, we've given a lot of political power to women, a group of people, women, not all women, but women in general, who seem to think that the other half of the human race shouldn't be afforded human rights, like due process.
Yeah. No, it's insane. It's bizarre. It's completely fucking whack, and it's completely whack that it can be out in the open. So overt, out in the open, that these are their demands, that due process is an impediment to justice.
It's an impingement on their rights as a woman to be able to level an accusation and get a man removed from, from life. Like, you are a horrific person. You are this person that this person is describing. If it isn't, like, if you're a Poe, I apologize. Like, if you genuinely are mocking a horrific human being like this, I apologize to you, lady. You're doing a bang up job. But if you genuinely believe that you have the right to remove the human rights of half the human race because it's inconvenient to you to uphold them, you are an abhorrent human being. And if you judge men based on them saying, well, I'd like to have my human rights upheld, please, and you consider that to be a red flag, Like, consider that to be a red flag in a man. You are an abhorrent human being. And furthermore, it's a freaking amazing that you can get a platform essentially saying, yeah, let's remove some inconvenient rights that men have, like due process. Men have too much human rights. Let's remove them and reduce them. You can get a platform like that and then turn around and say, oh yeah, even though that I'm speaking from the pulpit of the highest tower of the gigantic freaking castle in the center of the land, I'm actually the one that's oppressed. Nobody is advocating to remove your due process rights, lady.
I know.
No one.
Certainly not. Certainly not in public.
We're not actually saying that Cristina Garcia does not deserve due process. We're saying that all of the men she said should have to resign on an accusation alone also deserve due process. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, I got some super chats I should read.
Yeah, and we probably should take this to the after show at this point.
All right, Recycle gives us $10 and says, name for that mentality towards male attention. So the same mentality as when you were saying we need a word for whatever. It says, name for that mentality towards male attention, cranial funhouse mirror. And Coran Strong gives us €2 and writes, at least Fergie apologized.
Okay.
That's that. Do you want to stop now, or do you want to?
Yeah, I think we do need to. Sorry, guys. Join us in the after show if you want to hear the end of this. Get the sense that this is only going to get worse. So.
Yeah. Well, she does another chorus.
One more guy.
Right? She does the chorus, and I don't remember what happens after that. So, but the original video is in the descriptions. You can see the cancer for yourself. It was either this or this friend zone video. So, all right. So, I guess take us out, or should I just hit the button?
Yeah, www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. Once again, if you want to join us for the after show, I'm pretty damn sure that this is not going to go up. This is only going to get worse, folks.
Yeah. Well, let's go. Let us go into the womb. Come, join me.